Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. This is Optibottoms coming to you with another video review. And today we're going to be taking a look at the new Transformers Combiner Wars Deluxe Class Autobot HOUND, or HOUND as we know him. And as you can see, HOUND is basically a repaint. I don't think he's much of a retool, to be totally honest with you. He does have a different head, but primarily he's just a repaint of Swindle. Now, he utilizes similar design aesthetics as Rook. So I guess you could say he's a remold of Rook, but he's basically just a repaint of Swindle. For the package, though, you can see his really nice kind of Jeep-ish sort of mode. You can see, though, that he's a lighter green than here. I mean, this has a much more military kind of grade green, whereas this one is a much brighter green. But I don't mind it. It doesn't look all that bad. And then you got the comic book here as part of the card art itself. On the side here, you can see that he forms to combine Sky Rain along with Wheeljack, Skylink's Smokescreen, and Trailbreaker. In this particular configuration, they have him as an arm because with this whole Scramble City thing, as we already know, it can be an arm or a leg, and you can take him, you can put him on Superion if you wanted to. But he transforms in 12 steps, and it says, Autobot HOUND has everything it takes to make him a good scout. Skill, experience, and holographic mapping equipment. However, his passion for exploring uncharted territory makes him more than good. It makes him irreplaceable. Now, the real question is this figure good enough to make that other Classics HOUND that we got replaceable? Well, there's only one way to find out, so let's get this guy open and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have HOUND open up and out of his packaging. And much like all the other Combiner War figures, you get a really nice comic book with a pretty cool looking artistic image of HOUND. As you can basically see, he is for the most part just a repaint of the Combiner Wars Swindle. Now, that's also a remold of Rook, but specifically, he's just the repaint of Swindle, but he does kind of sport a new head here, so that's really cool. For the comic book, like you know, I very rarely read these. I couldn't tell you anything about them. I do like the art that's actually in here. It has a very kind of gritty look to it, which does look pretty darn cool if you ask me. And you come around here to the back of the inside cover, and you got the on-the-desk sort of thing with the sketch phase, gray model phase, and of course the finished product. You can see the new head right there, and then you got the color code as well. Come to the back here, you have a more extended read up on him, as well as his name and group affiliation. So you do have that. Now for the figure, like I said, he basically is just a repaint of Swindle. It utilizes the same general engineering as Rook, much like Swindle did, but this guy actually looks really very cool here. Now, the question, as all of these new, Combiner War figures are coming out, is he better than the original classic version? And this is the original classic version. And honestly, I think that, again, the classic one does just a little bit better of job of nailing that kind of appearance, I guess. Taking this off, you can see that he does come with the same weapon as Swindle. It is this nice silver paint, though. But instead of plugging it in there like you could with Swindle, you can still do it here on HOUND. You can plug it there, and you get a little bit more of that, kind of classic G1 sort of look with his weapon right there. He does come with, it is a different foot than what Swindle came with. I'm not 100% sure whose he utilizes, but I don't think it's a new one, but who knows? It possibly could be. We've gotten so many of these, I've honestly forgotten what they all look like. But the vehicle mode, when you look at it, again, is this better than this? Is this good enough to replace this guy on a shelf? And I don't know that it is. I think that it is really good. If you don't have this, again, this is going to be a perfect fill-in for him, much like that Smokescreen figure is. But I do have the classic one, so it does have a bit of a challenge when it's, compared to the previous one. But in general, he does look pretty good. I do like the color on here a little bit more. As you can see, he's a much darker green than this guy was. But I do think that the Takara one actually had this being more this color green. I honestly don't remember. But all in all, it is still a good-looking vehicle. Now, for Swindle's comparison, again, you can see exact same, it's just repainted. Swindle's got this really nice desert kind of motif. This has a more, you know, jungle-ish motif. Again, you can see that you can plug that gun up there, which is a little bit more Swindle-ish of sorts. You know, you got the Hound kind of look right here, but it is all exactly the same, minus the paint job, at least here in, you know, vehicle mode. Now, one thing that's actually really interesting, and I don't know if it's something that they did as a running change, but there is, other than the head, there is another slight difference between these two figures that I'll show here in the actual robot mode, which I honestly just discovered by looking at some pictures on TFW, and I was really shocked. But we'll get all to that here in a little bit. Now, again, for the limb configuration, it is all the exact same. You're just going to want to tuck this up there. You bring the foot hand thing here, and you peg that in right there. You rotate that around as well. And there you have his little foot. It is a little bit loose in terms of this. I mean, it's not flopping all over the place, but you can feel it's not quite as tight. And if you want to, you can, you know, have that be the front. I mean, it's all personal preference and what you like. So that's really it for his leg configuration. And with these guys, because, you know, they don't exist, this combiner is just in general, it's not something that I'm going to really utilize much. But as part of the whole Combiner Wars gimmick, you can have it be an arm or a leg. So it really is up to you how you want to configure this. If you want it as a leg, you can do that. If you want it as an arm, you can do that as well. There's nothing really set in stone, you know, telling you what you have to do. It's your toy. Do with it as you want. But for the vehicle mode here, that's about it. Now, because we have taken a look at the transformation a couple times and it is the same, we are going to go ahead and skip it. So bringing in that moving magic thing again, we're going to go from Hound looking like this to looking like this. And again, I'm really very happy with how this turned out. If I didn't have that classic one, this would be an absolutely wonderful representation and would absolutely find its way into my collection. The problem though is I just feel that the classic one does a little bit better job of recreating, you know, the overall look of this character, even though his arms are a little bit floppy right here. I gotta fix that. It still never have done it. I just think that the classic one just looks a little bit better. He's not as bulky, I guess, and they're all gonna fall on me now. But I don't know, the overall bulkiness of this guy just, it seems off to me. I kind of like the more thin kind of look for the Hound as represented here in the classic form. But then for the other comparison, here he is next to his, I guess, mold mate, and that being Swindle. And I just, again, I think that the mold works a little bit better for Swindle here. But this is one thing that I think is absolutely awesome. Now, obviously, you can see that the head is really the only thing that's different in terms of molding on this. But it actually isn't. Again, I don't know if this is something that was a running change with Swindle, or if it's something that they did differently with Hound. But when you take a look at their guns, the guns are actually molded slightly different. And I'm going to come in here so that you can see that. What you basically have, you have these little tiny nubs right on here that this does not have. As you can see, it's plainly obvious that this has that extra little piece. So it is a new molded piece. What's cool about that is on Swindle, you come around here to the back, and again, I don't know how well that's going to come across. Let me see if I can get in a little bit closer here and have it stay in focus. Yeah, you can actually see it. You can see that this part right here is perfectly rounded, whereas the one on Hound, you can actually see there are little indentations in the bottom section here, right in this. Let me pull this little piece out right here. You can see little indentations right along there and right there. Those are not prevalent here, either here or here. And it makes sense because honestly, Swindle didn't need it. I mean, he's got this gun right here, but what is really, really freaking cool is that those little nubs actually fit inside that getting that slotted in there, and you can hear it pop in there, and you can have a shoulder cannon like Hound had in the actual cartoon. I mean, that is terrific. That is something that you cannot do with Swindle here. Like I said, I don't know if it's something that they changed eventually with Swindle. I did get a slightly earlier release of this guy, but you can't do that with this. There are no little nubs, and there are no little slots right here to lock that into place. So that's something else that I really do think is very cool, and something that you couldn't really do easily with this guy. They do have like this little latch kind of thing, and you could always kind of come around here and kind of just wedge that right in there like so, and then if it will stay there, let's see. You can kind of wedge that in there, but it was always, you know, kind of sloppy looking. It was kind of crooked and off to the side and things like that. I mean, you could do it, but it never really looked good. This looks pretty cool. I'm really happy with the overall appearance on that and how they actually changed that to do something like that. That's just freaking awesome in my opinion. And like you could see, it clips in there perfectly fine. You got that little groove section, and so again, when you listen, it pops in there. So I don't know if you could actually hear that. Let me try that again. Get real close to the camera. And then shh, shh, shh. Ready? Ready? Oh, wait. I think I hit the table. I'm trying to do this perfectly so you can just hear this. Ready? Here we go. Here we go. So you can hear that it clicks in. I mean, absolutely awesome. And then it can actually, it doesn't swivel a heck of a lot, but you can get some swivel in there. But when you get to this part right here, if you go up too far, that will dislodge it. So you can swivel that around. I mean, so freaking awesome. That just makes this figure so much cooler, in my opinion. Now, first articulation is the exact same. You got a little bit of a ball joint here at the head, not really a heck of a lot. Real great sculpt here. Definitely has a very good Hound sort of look to it. The shoulders here are on ball joints, so you get a nice range of motion there. You got a swivel at the upper part of the elbow. You got a softish ratchet hinge here at the actual elbow, which comes up a little bit more about, yeah, I mean, that's about 90 degrees right there, so you're a little bit more than 90 degrees. As this is a arm or a leg, you also do have the waist rotation, very stiff waist rotation on that guy. You got ball jointed hips, allows you to move forward, back, in and out. He's got a rotation here at the upper part of the thigh, bends here at the knee, and then he does have a pivot here where you can get a little bit wider of a pose with him, which that kind of looks weird, but he also does, I guess you could say, have a little bit of foot pivot in the fact that it can move up and down just as part of the transformation. So absolutely incredible that they put that in there. That just made this guy so much neater, in my opinion. And then as with all the other ones, you can make him a arm, you can make him a leg. Going into his arm configuration, it's basically just putting him back into vehicle mode. So tabbing all this in, bringing this in, locking that right there. You do want to keep this extended out if you're going to have him as a leg, or I'm sorry, as an arm. So just bring that together like so. You got the combiner port that comes up. Rotate that. Yeah, wow. I just completely severed his legs. That's a really tight hip joint, so be careful with that when you're doing it. Wow, oof, that's rough. Okay, get that back in there, get that lined up and tabbed together just like so, and then the arm fits. I didn't pull his fingers out, but you get the idea. And there you have his arm configuration. Again, it kind of depends on how you want to configure it. It doesn't really have to go any specific certain set of ways or anything, but I kind of have that. You get the general idea. But I really am happy with this guy. This is definitely a toss-up for me. Is this better than the classic one? I honestly, I mean, I'm really giddy about that shoulder thing. So I don't want to say that is a deciding factor for me, but it definitely helps. Keeping this down like that, it definitely helps, though, giving him a little bit more character and more of an appeal. In general, I do think that it ultimately comes down to if you have that classic figure. If you do have that classic figure, I honestly think that you'll be perfectly happy with keeping that and not necessarily expanding your Hound collection to also include this Combiner Wars guy. There are some really cool things about him. I think ultimately this mold works a little bit better as Swindle, but that's not to say that this figure isn't any good. I just think that, again, if you're going to replace, a classic representation, it needs to be leaps and bounds better, I think. And for me, I still think that this one is a better representation of the character than this guy is. But this one is still really fun. And all said and done, I still do like him. So if this is a figure that you'd be interested in adding to your collection, he as well as the rest of the Sky Rain wave, try saying that 5 times fast, are hitting various retail locations right now. Or as always, here in the US, there's Big Bad Toy Store, or over in the UK, there's Kapow Toys. So depending on your location, all you have to do is click on the link down in the video description. In the US, you'll go to BBTS, and in the UK, you'll go to Kapow Toys, where you can check out availability on this guy, as well as the rest of the new Sky Rain wave. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. So once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been Optibottomus. Don't forget to please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. And until next time, I'll talk to you later.